Hello everyone, this is Aditya Managapati, and in this session we are going to discuss about sprint planning 1 and 2 meetings. So let's start. So here basically you are going to learn how to create the sprint, how to do the estimation, and how to add the subtasks and sprint backlog, and then how to start the sprint. So if you take the whole diagram, so this is the portion which we are going to talk about. So already the product owner has created the product backlog. As the next step, the team is going to do the planning. So here the complete team is responsible for doing the sprint planning 1 and planning 2 meetings, which will be headed by the Scrum Master. Sprint planning 1, normally all the team members will sit together as a team, and the product owner will explain about each requirement from the top based on the product backlog which is already available. And once the team members understand the requirements, then they will go ahead and do the estimation. Here, each and every team member is going to be involved in the estimation process. So once the finalized estimation number comes, so that will be updated in JIRA, and then it will be moved to the sprint backlog. So let's directly see how it is going to happen in the tool. So here, this is the sprint backlog, product backlog. So this is the product backlog here, and this product backlog will be estimated, and then it will be moved to the sprint. So to do that activity, first we are going to create the sprint in JIRA. So click on create sprint button, and automatically it will be taking the sprint name. So if you want to change the sprint name, always you can go ahead and do it here. So click on edit sprint and you can update the information. Or if you want to delete the sprint by mistake, you might have created some sprint, and if you want to delete it, just select it here and click on delete. Anything is fine. Now assume that the product owner has explained about the first requirement and team has decided to do this particular user story within 10 hours time. So to understand easily, I'm considering the hours, not the story points. So there are different estimation techniques are there. To understand easily, I'm considering hours. Assume that to develop this book a flight functionality, so the team is going to take 10 hours. So after planning one meeting, that's what the team has decided. Now that information will be updated in the right side of the screen. So when you click on this particular user story, a small pane is going to display here, and under the user story points you have to mention the decided number of hours. Once you mention that information here, just click on this tick mark to save that. So that information is going to be populated upon refresh. You can observe here the user story points are updated. Now move this user story to the sprint backlog here in the top. So this is the sprint backlog and this is the product backlog. So product backlog may contain hundreds of requirements, but in the sprint backlog, whatever the user stories you are planning to develop in the upcoming 2 weeks or 3 week sprint, so there you are that we are going to take here. Now for the second user story, the same process is going to happen. The team members are going to do the estimation, and that information will be updated here as part of user story points, say 15 hours, and that information will be saved. Then that particular user story will be moved to the sprint. So how many user stories the team is going to take like this? So on what basis they are going to take? It is depending on the number of resources available in a team and how many working days they have within that sprint. The sprint duration can be minimum 1 week, or it can be maximum 4, or it can be little more than that. But the ideal duration for the sprint is going to be 2 weeks. If you consider 2 week sprint, so you will have 10 working days. So 10 into So if you have 5 team members in a team, then 5 for each team member, 8 hours per day will be there. So 5 into 8, 80, sorry, 40, 40 into 5. So 200 hours. So 200 into 2, total 400, something like that. So the estimation is going to happen. So once the estimation is done, or the user stories are taken into the sprint, then the planning 2 is going to start. So let me add the estimation hours for the second user story or third user story. So I'm giving the estimation numbers like 10, or maybe already I have given that. So I'll just give 25. And yeah, it is not displaying immediately. So I'm just going to refresh the screen to display that information. So you can see the information, the number of hours or the user story points are updated. I am moving this also into the sprint. So now the sprint planning 1 is over. So during the sprint planning 1, the team has estimated how much time each user story is going to take. So once they update that information, as a second step in planning 2 meeting, they are going to add the subtasks. So what is the use of subtasks? Who is going to add it? So subtasks are going to be added by the team members. So the major reason for subtask is, so whatever the activities the team is going to perform to complete a particular user story, that will be added as a subtask. For example, so I'm taking the first requirement here, search a hotel. So to add the subtask, just click on this subtask button in the right side, create subtask, and you will get a text box to enter the subtask name. So I'm going to add some subtasks for the developers and also some subtasks for the testing team members. So create HLD, high level design. Click on create. Then create LLD. Develop the code. Right? And then create test cases. Execute test cases and report defects. So all the team members will sit together and they identify the subtask to complete that particular activity, and they will be adding that subtasks here. So now click on create, and this activity is going to happen for all the 3 user stories. So currently we have taken only 3 user stories into the sprint. So we will be adding that information to all the 3 user stories. So now I have selected cancel a flight, and here I'm going to add that information. So already I had here, you can see the subtask, and only for the last one I might be adding now. So quickly check it out. How do we do that? Create test cases. The tasks are going to be mostly similar because the same activities the testing team or the development team is going to perform. So if you are doing some other activity, just add it as a subtask here. Execute test cases and report defects. Now click on create. So once the subtasks are added for each and every user story which are there in the backlog, now it's time to start the sprint. So to start the sprint, there is a start sprint button is available in blue color. Click on that. So it will give you some information about that sprint. So if even here, if you want to change the sprint name, always you can go ahead and change. So whatever the name you are interested in, or according to the project, you can give a name. And then you have to select the duration. So the duration can be, as I said, it is going to be minimum 1 week, or it can be maximum 4 weeks, or it can be customized. But um, if you have a short sprint or short sprint duration, then it is the best, because you will get the feedback from the end users as early as possible. So for that reason, I'm going to choose the duration here as 2 weeks. And once you select the duration, so by default it is going to take the current date as the start date, and accordingly the end date will be calculated. If you want to change the start date, yes, by clicking on this icon, always you can do that, but for now I'm going to leave it as it is. Then start the sprint. So whenever you start the sprint, you will be moved to the next page called active sprints. So this is the place where you can see the sprint progress that you can watch in the next video. Thank you.